Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And, of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Very exciting. This coming, well, there's a couple things going on this week. Number one, on Thursday, we're going to be debuting our new 2-hour block of live streaming, which we have not named yet. I would like to use the word Impact somehow so that people will still think that we're looking at Impact.
All right.
So just we'll brainstorm, you, me, the Enforcer. We'll all brainstorm over the next 48 hours, and we'll come at you guys with a really cool name. So that's going to be Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. That should be fun. And then Saturday, it's the biggest wrestling event of the year.
Yes, without a doubt.
Of the year. Triplemania 30-something is going to... Is it 29? Is that what it is?
I think it's 29.
29. Maybe 30 it's 29.
29. 29 is correct.
Next year's there. I'm ahead of myself. Okay. And this is very exciting because it's not just going to be you, me, and the Enforcer, but Kayla and Alex, Queen of the Ring, they're going to be joining us. The very first official Church of Friendos live stream is going to be the reactions, the live watch along to Triplemania. Lucha Blog has already announced that he's going to be streaming it on his Twitch channel. So we will have the link. And if somehow that falls through, somebody else will. And we'll be on top of having the link in our chat. So if you want to watch along with us, you can do that. I'm very excited about this. This is very exciting. Triplemania with the Church of Friendos. And the word on the street, the new rumor is we're going to be releasing the very first Church of Friendos merch in coordination with the stream this Saturday.
That's very exciting.
Whenever Triplemania starts, it's probably
very
around
exciting.
4 or 5, 6.
I think it's
I don't
five.
know. Five, probably five Pacific. That sounds right. So this is very exciting stuff. It should be a blast. Looking forward to it. So follow us over at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson, and you can check it out as well.
Yes.
So there's that. And then is there any other bit of business before we talk about this stuff?
I don't think so. Oh, here's something there's something we could talk about real quick. The poll for Numbers Don't Lie.
Oh, yeah.
$10 and up patrons determined who we're going to talk about this week. Last I checked, resulted in a tie between Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels.
Whoa.
So we got to decide what's the tiebreaker going to be.
Oh, my gosh. This is unprecedented.
Yeah, 7-7. It is.
This is unprecedented. Well, let's do this. Till midnight tonight. $10 patrons and up. If you have not gone to the Patreon to vote on this, please do. Please go do. And if there's a tie, do we just flip a coin?
Sure.
We'll flip a coin. Who gets heads? Diesel? Or is HBK? I don't know.
We call it in the air, man.
Call it in the air. How about this? I get Nash, you get HBK, and then
in the air.
We'll call it in the air. Somebody will call it.
So we'll do a poll here in Twitch chat.
Yeah.
See who gets the call.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exciting. Yeah, Numbers Don't Lie. We're going to film that on Thursday, and then you can watch it live at patreon.com/Steve and Larson, $5 and up, or Twitch sub YouTube channel members as well. So check that out. Patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Great way to support Going In Raw. Something that needs a lot of support, evidently, is NXT.
Wow.
The yellow and black brand. Apparently, man, there are some huge changes in store. It might effectively, the NXT we know and love might effectively be dead sooner than later. Larson, what's going on?
So, of course, following the pretty shocking announcement of the releases of 13 NXT talents Friday evening, Dave Meltzer is now reporting that we can expect a lot more upheaval, potentially, for the black and gold brand, saying that NXT may go back to its purely developmental days with a focus on younger talent with size who can, quote, be box office attractions and main characters. Meltzer added that, quote, the feeling is that they lost the war to AEW and are going back to younger talent, while adding that there are, quote, divisive opinions with key decision makers as to what wrestling is. Right now, the side of younger and bigger has McMahon's ear. But who is it that has Vince's ear? Meltzer notes that, quote, the recent round of NXT cuts were made by Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, and John Laurinaitis. He continues that, quote, Paul Levesque and Shawn Michaels had nothing to do with the Friday night cuts.
All right, let's pause there before we dive deeper into this. There is a term that Meltzer had also used that I believe he got from the actual memo involved, where they say no. It's a derogatory term for little people. You can't. It's a term that it's not really appropriate to use anymore. But it's no more blank. It's no more people who are of a certain stature. No more smaller people. Which, number one, if that's an actual internal memo, if that was actually a word relayed that was like making the rounds, then there is so much work that needs to be done backstage in WWE. But just, for the purpose of this discussion, the idea that the NXT experiment has been a failure seems to be one that currently Vince McMahon believes to be true. NXT has always been, we have figured that, Triple H saw what was happening in Ring of Honor in PWG 5 years ago, 10 years ago or whatever, and was like, hey, this is the future of wrestling. And let's bring in these names who cut their teeth, who make their name on the independent circuit, who know how to get themselves over, who already are bringing with them a fan base. Let's mix them with homegrown talent that we bring in and we develop. Let's mix them all together. And then we have these terrific buzzworthy events called takeovers. And at one time, it seemed like that was a place where Vince would find value in bringing up talent from there. He seemed to be really high on Kevin Owens. He seemed to be really high on Finn Balor. All sorts of names. I mean, the Horsewomen came from there, obviously. And that period seems to be coming to an end.
Yeah. And I wonder if part of it, too, is, well, there's a couple things. With the advent of AEW, that they're occupying a similar space as NXT, as in the Ring of Honor PWG lineage professional wrestling. And you add to that, like TakeOver, you get buzz from TakeOver 4 or 5 times a year,
Yeah, sure.
But NXT, while they have their ups and downs of creative, for whatever reason, on their weekly television, they have not been able to sustain the buzz created by these takeovers on their weekly television show, at least not to the degree that would lead to greater viewership numbers. AEW has managed to do that. You could probably list a ton of reasons why that has happened.
Does basically Vince McMahon want OVW again, where you're developing prototypes, Leviathans, Brock Lesnar's, Randy Orton's?
Yeah.
You just want a whole bunch of those guys because now it's like the global localization thing might be a thing of the past. It's like, hey, no, why are we going to do that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. AEW has really, and I did a video on it on my solo channel, Wrestle Juice. It's really exposed the difference in philosophy between NXT and WWE's main roster, the booking philosophy, in that they're not compatible. Like, what do we always say about Vince McMahon? What does Vince McMahon like? What does he want? He wants moments. He wants big moments without a damn about how they're built, really. You can look at any number of big moments in wrestling and take a look at the builds in WWE, and they're atrocious. On the other hand, you can look at Ciampa versus Gargano, which I think is Triple H's crowning achievement. That is the story that he should be most known for. And it's from beginning, middle, and end. I mean, the end sort of petered out because Ciampa got injured, But man, it was a masterpiece of a build of storytelling and big matches along the way. AEW has found a way to take a main roster feel with names like now Malachi Black, but they have like their main event, main roster type thing, and they've been able to meld it with like an NXT style of booking where you have detailed storytelling along the way, but you have main roster big moments. And I think that's what they're aiming to do. And it's been seamless. And that's why they're success. That's why I believe they're successful. They can take big names who might have built their brand the biggest in WWE, guys who came from the independent realms who've never, or Japan, obviously, like, New Japan basically gave their top talent to AEW. And they've been able to do that. And that was the thing that was always missing from NXT over the past couple years, with the few exceptions, was the through line from NXT to WWE. Yep. Well, now Vince doesn't care about that. He's realized that ain't going to work. That's not going to work. And that leaves the question, what's it going to be? So let's move on here. Fightful Select, go check out Fightful Select, by the way, is reporting that there has been, quote, a noted shift in the development of talent in NXT, noting that there is concern among talents about the direction NXT will take with its hiring going forward, adding that the company passed on talents some thought were slam dunks at recent tryouts. Now, I didn't do any research to see who exactly were at recent tryouts, but I mean, there's talent in NXT, some of which has just been released, that seem like slam dunks. I'll be honest, a lot of these people seem like, look at the breakout tournament. Those, you can't name one guy there that's not a slam dunk, and if I could, I wouldn't, because it's rude. Fightful also spoke to a WWE official about the latest round of releases, who noted that in 2018 the company went into, quote, talent slashing mode in
stashing. Sorry.
Stashing. Sorry, that's a big difference. That's a big difference. Sorry, talent stashing mode, in anticipation of Triple H's planned NXT's global localization expansion. So that's when they were hoarding a bunch of stuff because they were going to send them all over the globe. The source noted that while the list of cuts are a, quote, collaborative effort, Vince McMahon could personally put a stop to any of these, and added that releases will likely be a more regular occurrence going forward, though this year's cuts are, quote, an outlier with both the frequency and the level of talent. Like we've said, they've hoarded and hoarded, thinking they were going to send out across the planet to all these different NXT locations. Now they're just sitting on them, and this is the natural, result of that, I think.
Unfortunately, yeah. And one thing here, it says between NXT's move to the USA network and them trying to really push that in the COVID pandemic, all the global localization plans just came to a stop. So those reports, coupled with PW Insider's reporting last week that NXT would be seeing some production changes and increased emphasis on younger talent, suggests that the NXT that we have grown to love possibility could be a thing of the past. And if so, there's a lot of questions to answer. But the kind of the one on the forefront of my mind is, what does it mean for the established main eventers in NXT? I'm talking Gargano, Ciampa, even Joe now at this point, who don't necessarily fit the profile of young and tall or huge, attractions, as Bruce Pritchard likes to call.
Well,
like, are they going to have a situation where, and if there's that, not only do they fit the description of what Vince is apparently looking for, if NXT is moving away from what they're doing now to more of a purely developmental thing, well, obviously Gargano, Ciampa, countless talents. Third of the roster, half the roster.
Well, you look at they don't
really fit into that idea,
You got Gargano, Ciampa, Kyle O'Reilly, Kushida. Those are just names off the top of my head.
Swerve's
a bit different. Hit Row, I think, is one of those things that WWE, they would not want to get. Number one, you got Top Dollar there. He's a big dude. I don't know how old he is, but he ain't that old. I'd be shocked if he was past 35. I don't think he'd be past 35. I'd be surprised. I honestly have no idea. But Hit Row, you'd have to think that WWE, who over the past 2 years anyways, has a pretty good track record with putting people of color in prominent positions and championship positions, would understand the value of what they bring. Swerve was one of those guys. I don't think Swerve is not that small. Number one, he's got to be at least 6 feet, right? He's a tall dude.
Tall. Yeah,
I think they're probably a group that would be safe. I would think
safe to remain in NXT or safe on the main roster.
Well, it depends on what they want for NXT. I mean, that's sort of what we're talking about, right? It's like, is it going to be is this going to be like a complete rebrand with like a new name or at least a new logo for NXT, new color scheme? Are they still going to be like in front of a crowd? Is this going to be more like a documentary feel? Is this going to be like, hey, we're bringing in a bunch of people, or are they going to somehow like start to transform over the next 6 months to a year? And feature like the break at like Duke Hudson. He's a tall dude.
Got Odyssey Jones. Andre Chase was pretty tall, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Joe Gacy, 6 feet.
Yeah.
So dude, I honestly don't know. Like, is this going to be strictly developmental? In which case, what do they do with the guys that are there that aren't developmental? Because obviously Hit Row's not developmental. No. I mean, do they all get moved to the main roster, or do they use a certain core that fits the bill, but also already has all that experience, and they use them to help facilitate, the arrival of fresh talent? I don't know. Like, it can run the gamut. There's a whole spectrum that they could do here.
Now let's bring this up real quick. Asher Hale, one of the talents that was released on Friday, had a lengthy statement on Twitter about his release, and he mentions an interesting bit here. He says, "I know there was nothing I could have done to make things turn out any different. There is a shift happening within the company, and I no longer fit what they are looking for." He says, I get it. I wish I had known that before moving my family down here, but we all take risks in life. So, I mean, at least it's something internally that if it's not been talked about, within NXT from Triple H or the coaches, whatnot, to the talent, it's something they've been able to recognize the talent themselves.
Yeah.
That there's some sort of shift happening.
And
whether it's as Meltzer described or something else, we don't know with certainty. But before we get back to the show, let's get a word from our sponsor, Amazon Music. Since all the friendos out there are listening to this show, it's safe to assume you love listening to podcasts. Well, you'll find tons of podcasts, including this one, Going in Raw, on Amazon Music.
That's right. Amazon Music has more than 10 million free podcasts to listen to. But that's not all. They also have thousands of music stations and great playlists to stream for free.
Yeah, man. If you're like Larson and love your music on demand and ad-free, you got to give Amazon Music Unlimited a try. It gives you unlimited access to a lot of songs, like 75 million songs, as well as podcasts, music videos, and so much more.
And with Amazon Music Unlimited, you can listen to any song anywhere, whether it be in the car, walking your dog, doing wind sprints, anywhere, offline, and with unlimited skips.
Or listen to podcasts like Going in Raw while pumping iron like I do. I listen to our show while I lift weights.
Whoa.
Anyways, if you've never tried Amazon Music Unlimited, now is a great time. For a limited time, new customers can try Amazon Music Unlimited free for 30 days. No credit card required. Just go to Amazon.com/GIR.
That's Amazon.com/GIR to try Amazon Music Unlimited free for 30 days. Amazon.com/GIR. Renews automatically. Cancel anytime. Terms apply. With the formerly known as Everrise with 2.0 going on Keeping It 100 with Conan, talking about, feeling some amount of tension between Vince and Triple H. None of this is particularly shocking. But at the same time, to have the one thing in WWE that it's like, oh wow, you guys have something that has credibility with the internet. But that's never been something. If you listen to, I always go back to this. If you really want to know what WWE's booking philosophy is, just listen to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, because you'll hear it there. And I remember one time he literally, and I'm honest to God, I'm trying to remember the episode. I could probably go back and see what I've listened to, but there was an episode where I think they were talking about Shawn Michaels. It might've been the Nash episode. They were talking about Shawn Michaels and Diesel. And he was like, whenever I think he probably called them the smart marks or whatever, whatever the internet thought, whenever the internet got mad we know we were doing the right thing. Whenever the hardcore audience who loved the product so much that they took to the internet to talk about it, whenever they were upset about something they did, they considered that a success. That's what we're talking about now. Because Pritchard and John Laurinaitis are apparently the ones who are like, giving Vince the validation for all this stuff. He wants an attraction. He wants the big person because people like when they're big. And there's I agree with some of that philosophy. It's like, the larger than life characters. But I think a variety is what AEW is doing so well right now.
Yeah. And I think, too, is you mentioned larger than life characters. Larger than life characters aren't bound by any particular
doesn't mean literally
appearance.
Larger than other people.
There is a lot of larger than life characters who aren't 6'4" and 300 pounds.
Right. Yeah.
So it's obviously it's gonna be interesting after TakeOver to see what happens with NXT. Is do they start the rebrand then, if it's going to happen? Do they wait till the draft? Do we see some of the NXT main eventers get called up? Do we see some get released?
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty darn surprised to see Bronson Reed, Jonah Rock get released, because I thought that's a guy who's going to be a fixture for that company for a very long time.
I thought Jonah Rock was
he's a great wrestler.
A shoo-in. He's
tons of
big.
charisma.
He's big and he's a great wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not? That was insane to me. Yeah. As far as the guys, like Gargano, Ciampa, Kyle O'Reilly, Kushida, the only thing I can think of is one of two things. Either, unfortunately, WWE has nothing for them, which is possible. They have that cruiserweight title. If you want like the most stacked cruiserweight division, they're not going to have Adam Cole do that if they're about to pay him how much we're about to talk about. But if you have Kushida, Gargano, I don't know about Ciampa, but Kushida, because Gargano just doesn't seem like he's too grizzled for like cruiserweight competitions. I don't know. I just don't see it. But Kyle O'Reilly, Gargano, Kushida, guys like that going after the cruiserweight division, and you can say, hey, we still have this type of variety. It's in our cruiser division, even like Santos. That's you could have a stacked division with the guys who aren't a certain height, I guess. If you want to go that route, I personally think they should rebrand it like something more closer to the X Division title.
Yeah.
Just, hey, you guys want all you nerds out there, all you internet nerds, you want something good here. Here's the title for you. It gets 15 minutes on Raw every week.
Yeah, something like that. I know. But then, like you have, I'm sure, like Kyle O'Reilly and pretty much most people who signed to NXT or WWE, they're like, okay, because, like Kyle O'Reilly and Bob Fish, when they were wrestling as Reed Dragon in Japan, they were in the junior heavyweight tag division.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kushida expressed that one of the reasons that he left New Japan to come to WWE is because in New Japan they weren't letting him wrestle outside the junior heavyweight division.
Yeah.
So if people are coming to NXT with the idea, it's like, okay, here it's a fresh start. I'm not, like whatever happened in previous in my career, that's not necessarily going to happen here at WWE. And then, you're Kyle O'Reilly or Johnny Gargano, and Johnny Gargano's won the NXT title. He's wrestled heavyweights. He won the heavyweight belt.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a cruiserweight now.
Yeah.
I can only wrestle for this belt. How content are they going to be professionally with that?
And I don't know if they might be fed the line, hey, if you get over enough, you could be a Rey Mysterio, because they're not going to have Rey fight for the cruiserweight title either. It could just be, hey, listen, this is the scene that you're going to be in right now. But never say never, anything can happen. But then they'd have to just make that decision, that sort of goes along with the idea that, and this is just general advice, is good advice. Know who you're signing with. This applies to wrestling, to any place. If you're getting a job with any place, know who you're signing up with, because every single one of these people who signed up with WWE in the thick of their talent hoarding, they all had to put pen to paper. They all had to read these contracts. And I guarantee every single one of these people thought to themselves, I believe in myself to the extent that I can break through. And I think that's a healthy attitude to have. It's like, but at the same time, man, know where you're getting into wherever you're going.
Now let's talk about this real briefly before we get to Andrew Zarian's bit about the network's take on all this. So let's say you're looking at the independent scene. Let's think of a guy who's taller, who's young, that might fit some of the criteria that WWE might be looking for, but is already established indie scene. Someone like Brody King, he's a large dude. Yeah. I think he's relatively young.
Yeah.
He's really good.
Yeah.
He's established. He's got his brand. He seems like one of the guys who's around the precipice of breaking through to the Kevin Owens, Adam Cole type level potentially on the indies right now. I think there's a lot of names that are right at that level. They're right ready to break through. And, now that shows are going again on a more consistent basis, hopefully it'll happen. Like, will they consider bringing him in? I'm just throwing his name out there.
Yeah, of course.
Will they consider bringing him in as an established indie talent with an established style? Or are they going to roll the dice more so on people with an athletic background, not necessarily professional wrestling, so they can kind of, mold them from the ground up into a WWE superstar, if you will? Because, like in the early days of NXT, yeah, there were some people who would sign on from the indies, like Seth came over from Ring of Honor to join FCW, I believe, before they moved on to NXT. But it was around, like the time of Sammy and Kevin Owens and Finn and Hideo Itami, where they're bringing in more so, or just as much, people who are already really established. So, are they going to go all the way back to the early days of NXT when it's pretty much purely developmental? Are they just going to kind of scale back signing of independent talent? Unless they meet certain criteria?
I would think so. I think you're looking at guys. I think that's what you're looking at. They want to bring in the next Brock, the next Cena, the next Orton, the next Batista. But then you're also going to get the next Luther Reigns, the next Heidenreich, the next there's a million
Nathan Jones.
Nathan Jones, thank you.
Yes.
There's a million of them.
Snitsky,
thank you. Yeah, there's a ton of them. So that's what that's a worst case scenario. That's terrible. And I hope it's not that, because there was that period of time where we were just bringing in big dude after big meathead after big meathead. That might be a derogatory. I don't be rude to anybody, but just big dudes that are jacked,
massive buff dude and massive
that
buff dude. Yes.
barely can walk with 2 feet in the ring. It's like, was that what we're looking at? But or at the same time, we're not learning stuff with Cross. I don't know. And Cross is another weird. That's still a weird situation.
That is a really weird situation. Because he checks a lot of the boxes you would think Vince would want. I think he's over 30, but otherwise, he checks all the boxes.
I know.
Although they strip him of one of his most interesting aspects, his entrance.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. I don't know. There's a lot of just, I don't know. This all seems very bizarre.
It is.
It's bizarre.
It's bizarre, and it's not. The proof will be in the pudding. We'll see.
Yes,
we'll find out. But yeah, it doesn't seem. I feel like NXT is definitely sort of rounding a corner where we're in territory where the NXT experiment seemingly has failed in the eyes of Vince McMahon. I think there is a ton of stuff that they could have done, and I sort of talked about that in the video that I did today. There's a ton of stuff they could have done. It's when you look at the evidence, when you look at, because you can look at the viewership numbers week to week and see where they succeeded. When NXT was treated like a third brand, guess what? They did pretty well. When Keith Lee, when they were coronating him as double champion, guess what? It did pretty well, and it beat AEW. Well. And then what happened 6 weeks later? He got called up, and they put Karrion Kross in his place, the guy they Goldberged up to the top. It was there. It was there. It's just they didn't want to commit fully. And when you do things half-assed, it falls apart.
This is what happens. So let's talk about this real quick from Andrew Zarian. He's got some details on how USA Network might feel about these rumored changes to NXT. As we tweeted out today, quote, hearing a lot of chatter from USA Network higher ranked reps regarding the releases from NXT. I imagine this quote's from his source. Quote, personally, I'm disappointed with how this is going. Zarian continues, perception from many is that these upcoming changes will be negative. Perception means everything, especially when you're working with partners who are not pro wrestling fans and don't have deep knowledge of the talent. In reality, are changes coming to NXT a bad thing? Time will tell. And that's the thing. if they want to go in a more developmental route and they can still manage to create programming that is interesting and tell interesting stories and the action in the ring is still decent, then yes, it could still be a quality show. Is it going to challenge AEW's numbers? Obviously not, but it could still hover around the 500,000 probably, because at least for a while, there's still value to the NXT brand name. So as long as they can deliver some semblance of what we're used to in terms of in-ring action and storytelling, if with or without the stars that we've grown accustomed to being there, I think people will give it a shot. Yeah. But, if they completely change it and turn it to something that's, a pale comparison to what we see now, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I'll have an open mind about it, and we're going to keep on covering it as long as it's consequential. I think that's sort of the word that I use to determine whether or not we really cover something. Like you said, if this just turns into a bunch of giant dudes learning how to take bumps week to week, if it's not the most compelling thing in the world, then I'm not going to be into it. But if Vince is motivated, like he might be motivated to show up Triple H. So this is how you really do it. If Vince is motivated, he can put on a good product.
Yeah. Well, it seems like if he's motivated to put on a good product, or is he just motivated to show Triple H that he's wrong?
Well, that's the thing. Either way, it might result in something good, or it might be complete trash. It might be 500 Luther Reigns. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. We had a great time with it, and and we have to move on.
Yeah.
Speaking of moving on,
yes.
Somebody might be moving on to main roster, and a huge bag, Larson. Fightful Select has some details on Adam Cole's meeting with Vince McMahon this past Friday. They're reporting that the meeting was a high priority to Vince, and he apparently, after 4 years, took a personal liking to Adam Cole. Fightful also notes that there have been pitches for Cole on both Raw and SmackDown, and that Cole has been told he is wanted on the main roster. Wasn't there also a report of like a massive amount of money too?
I did not see that.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me. Why don't you talk a little bit about this?
Oh, okay.
Maybe do some role playing on this meeting, Larson.
Oh, some role playing. Okay. Well, one of us needs to be Vince. One needs to be Adam Cole, baby. So.
All right, I'll be Vince.
All right.
Hey, Alan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Vince. How are you?
It's finally great to meet you.
Yeah, it's an honor.
Great ideas for you right now.
Okay.
Great ideas.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to hear.
You come to Raw.
Okay.
That's my great idea.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. What about SmackDown?
Oh, here we go. Okay, so it's according to this is Wrestling Observer. He's been offered $1 million.
Wow, that is a pretty substantial payday. Wow.
That's a boatload of money.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Larson, yay or nay, $1 million.
If you can get a 2-year deal for $1 million a year,
let's say 3. You do it. Of course you do it. You do it. $3 million and then you're out. $3 million. He'll be fine in 3 years. He'll be fine.
I know he will, but that's just an extra year of like, it's all, you get wined and dined to begin with, but are they going to sustain whatever they that particular push? If it's you're a year and a half in and you're like, okay, well, I'm just here in catering. Adam Cole doesn't seem like the type of guy who would just be cool sitting in catering.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know, but $1 million, if that's true, if that report is true.
Well, here's the thing too: is it $1 million per year or $1 million for the duration of the contract? I
would
3-year deal worth $1 million. So it's like $300,000.
It's pure speculation. I'd have to actually look up the thing. I'll see if I can find it. But yeah, $1 million a year. That is difficult.
That would be tough to turn down.
Yes. Yeah, tough to turn that one down. Because here's the thing also to consider. Here's the thing to consider with $1 million a year. Is that they're not going to give somebody. I don't believe that they would. If this was 2 years ago, they might give $1 million to stay away from AEW.
Yeah. If
I
they're getting
don't
$1 million,
think
yeah.
they're going to put that much money in somebody if they're not going to use him.
Yeah.
If they're not going to feature him in a prominent spot.
If the idea behind all these releases is that it's because of budget cuts, if they're going to spend so much of their budget probably on one wrestler, yeah, you'd think they'd have to be pretty seriously involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Significantly.
Right.
Significantly.
Right. And I don't know. I mean, dude, if somebody sent Vince McMahon like a highlight reel of Adam Cole's even promos, you know, it's like I could see there is an open spot right now for another Daniel Bryan. And Adam Cole could totally, and I'm not saying like legitimately or like, oh, we're going to rebrand you Daniel Bryan. No, but like a guy who might not be as tall as everybody else, but he can tell a killer story in the ring. He's great at the sweet science of wrestling. And he could be a face or a heel, and he's like the best promo you got on your roster. Adam Cole's that's what Daniel Bryan was, and you could do anything with him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Adam Cole is. And dude, you're 15,000 strong or 7,000 strong, or however many people are in an arena. They'll all do the Adam Cole thing. Oh, you know, that should be enough for that. That's worth $1 million a year.
It's worth a try, I suppose.
Yeah.
Especially if that $1 million is joined by some semblance of creative plans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of Raw, let me ask this first. If you're Adam Cole, let's imagine you're Adam Cole.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm a great-looking guy. My best friend is Steve here. I have a picture. I have proof of that.
Well, you've met him. So if say you have creative pitches for Raw and SmackDown, and it's not exactly your choice, but they ask for input. You know, they say these are creative plans on Raw, these are creative plans on SmackDown, regardless of what they are. Say that's like it. You know, it's an even deal in terms of involvement, what the story is. So essentially, do you have a preference on what show you want to go to?
Blue is my jam, dude. Blue is blue, and
answer.
blue. That's my shit right
answer.
there. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? It's a 2-hour show. Everybody likes it better. It's a breeze. You know, wrestling podcasts aren't complaining about having to review it on Monday night. It's a no-brainer. I mean,
Absolutely.
you have, you know, you're going to be going for the Intercontinental title. Like, that's kind of your ceiling because nobody's getting that title off Roman Reigns.
Well,
unless they want to try to make Cole the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for the first 18 months, yeah, your ceiling is going to be the Intercontinental title. But after that, I mean, Roman doesn't have that belt for a while. He's not going to have it forever.
Alan, listen. My name's Adam. Alan, listen. You're going to be the guy. You'll take it off Roman. There you go.
Really? Okay.
It's not in writing.
Yeah, I know.
It hasn't been ratified yet.
I'm going to go change the language before it gets ratified. Let's talk Raw. We got a preview for Raw tonight. Randall Keith Orton returns to Raw. He said on Twitter he's opening the show.
Oh, okay. There you go. Right on. It's a week late. Thought we were going to get that last week, but that's cool.
We get it this week.
WWE champion Bob Lashley is going to address his SummerSlam title defense against Goldberg.
And then Charlotte Flair will respond to her loss to Nikki ASH.
Ooh, wonder what she's going to say. Where do we know where they are this week?
They are in Orlando.
Okay. I'm not sure how much they're going to have to mess with the crowd audio. God, man, we called that one. All that stuff they learned in the Thunderdome, they're overdrive. Overdrive with that stuff. You'll hear people chanting, and you'll get one look at the crowd, and people are just sitting there like this.
Yeah.
It's like, where are these noises coming from? Nobody's mouths are moving.
They somehow managed to merge live crowds and Thunderdome.
Right? Oh.
And if only if they can have prompts up like behind the hard cam to do thumbs up and thumbs down for the live crowd. I'm sure Vince would be all about that.
People just doing this shit. Yeah. It's terrible. Anyways, let's go ahead and answer some questions. We have a thread here on the twitter.com/@realgoinginraw.
Oh wow, Wrestle Dude says if Vince booked the next takeover, what would all the matches be and what's each finish? You have to have at least 4 matches.
All right. Luther Reigns versus Heidenreich.
Oh, in a throwback.
Yeah.
Legends Night on NXT. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. When I was trying to see this, when Meltzer was talking about what they wanted. He specifically referenced the Curtis Axel era of NXT, and I was like, what era was that?
That's early, isn't it?
Is it? But it's after they became developmental, right?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. It's post game show.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
I think so. Yeah.
Rookies and I was like, I don't remember him being prominent, but like I only watched Axel was game show.
Oh, he was. Yeah.
Kaufman says Axel was game show. No,
then he went back after Nexus.
Oh. Yeah, they got some man. Yeesh. 2013. Oh, there you go. Luther Reigns versus Bull Buchanan. Yeah, he was game show. Good Lord, do you think they're going to bring that game show back?
Gosh, I hope not.
Could the game show do 500,000?
No.
Don't be so sure. They did 500,000 on Sci-Fi.
So
Joe's going to be the new master of ceremonies of the game show.
And then whoever wins the show gets the belt from him.
Yeah, they do a supermarket sweep to take the title off Joe. Load up on turkeys.
Okay, so he not only was Curtis Axel on one of the early seasons of the game show, he was also on the last before they renamed FCW NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in a tournament to crown the first NXT champ.
If they do the rookies and pros again, the game show, I'm not sticking around for that. That's where Steve here draws the line.
Well, he was in the version of NXT that we see now, not the game show, until 2013. So he was around for a little bit in that particular version of NXT before getting called up as Curtis Axel.
Juan Guerrero Jr. says predictions for Triplemania this coming Saturday. I don't know. Well, okay, I think Kenny's going to retain against Andrade.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
And then the main event is.
I just had it here. Give me a moment.
Is it a murder guy? A clown?
It is
Pagano?
Psycho Clown versus Rey Escorpion.
Is it a hair versus mask?
Yeah.
Mascaris versus.
Yeah, so Psycho Clown's going to win that. Yeah. So Rey Escorpion's going to lose his hair probably.
That sounds right.
What about Deanna versus Fabi Apache for?
Oh, Deanna's going to
title.
I would love, but Deanna's going to be the AAA Women's Champion. Absolutely. Yeah.
And we got Pagano.
I love Fabi Apache. She's like one of my favorites.
Yeah. Pagano Chessman, who were in the main event last year.
They're teaming
up.
The
heck out of each other. Yeah. Them and Murder Clown taking on La Impresa.
You got to give it to last year's main event, right? Those guys, NWO Wolfpack Sting, NWO Wolfpack Sting, Chessman.
Yeah.
He's like the franchise player there at AAA.
And they got a tag match, Lucha Brothers versus Hijo del Vikingo and Laredo Kid versus Taurus and a TBA, a mystery partner for the tag titles.
They're doing another Marvel thing, aren't they? With brand new characters this time.
They haven't announced any of the characters.
Look,
I don't think
this is going to be the highlights for. So number one, there is a TBA highlight. We don't know what they're going to throw at us, but being the first person to figure out who all the Marvel characters are, is fun. The sponsors, see if they got any new sponsors.
Speaking of which, there's the Copa Bardal.
That's right, Bardal, the car oil. They got the Bardal Cup.
Yep.
Oh, wow!
Can't wait.
Who's winning
Show
that?
of the year.
Who's winning that?
Well, who's in that one? It is Drago, Mamba, Mr. Iguana, and then it says TBA.
And then like 40 other guys. Oh, that's amazing. That's great.
Can't wait.
Early money's on Mr. Iguana.
Dalen Dula, you were just contracted by a major network to develop a pro wrestling themed morning show similar to today's show or Good Morning America. You and the Enforce will be the primary hosts. What do you call your show, and what pro wrestler will you hire to do the weather?
Oh, wow. Who's going to do our weather?
What is the show called?
The morning grapple? The morning mats?
Grappling with your day.
Grappling with your day. Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Well, Typhoon.
Morning hookers.
Okay.
Because hookers is another phrase for wrestler.
I know.
For anybody who doesn't
know. Fred Ottman. Of course, he wrestled as Typhoon.
Yeah.
He could be the weatherman.
Was Ottman also Shockmaster?
He was.
Yeah, he was Shockmaster. He can wear the Shockmaster helmet.
The helmet and the fuzzy vest.
Yeah.
And the jeans.
Yeah. NJWP. Power rank the following in order of what could happen more. NXT goes back to being a WWE Network show or Peacock show. The number of takeovers drop in a year, or Triple H / Shawn Michaels are relieved of their NXT duties. That's a good question. That last one, if the philosophy change is drastic, does Triple H and Shawn Michaels, are they relieved of their duties? I mean, Triple H would easily be shifted into some other nebulous position, you know?
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels, I don't know about that. NXT UK, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, man, if they're really going to change that much, if global localization is truly off the board,
what does it mean?
Do they bring up a couple of pieces from NXT UK that they like? Is there anybody there that fits the bill?
Eddie Dennis.
He's tall. He's a tall dude. You know, what do they all get? Yeah. Do they just dissolve NXT UK? They get released, and then Progress starts, snapping people up or something. The Rev Pro.
I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, until things start playing out, it's hard to tell.
It's really there's so many different directions they could go. Yeah,
totally. As far as NJWP's question, I would think that if they're going purely developmental, I would not be surprised if they scaled back the takeovers.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That seems more likely, not just in terms of where they have them, because it seems like CWC is going to be home for takeovers probably going forward if they're going the pure developmental route.
Mm-hmm.
But also, they got about 6 of them per year now, quarterly, probably.
Yeah.
I would think that would be the most likely if they go to a more developmental focused programming, ratings go down. I could see USA be like, it's like this isn't worth the money at this point,
I wonder what the floor is,
Yeah. And then, I think the least likely, let's say it's not likely, but the least likely be Triple H and Shawn Michaels relieved of their duties.
That's the least likely to happen?
Yeah.
I think Triple H being relieved of his, I would say it's like the number of takeovers drop in a year. That's probably number one. Mm-hmm. Number two is probably Triple H, Shawn being relieved of their NXT duties and being shifted over to something else. Shawn being a lead producer on main roster. Triple H is having some other corporate job. Who knows? I think those would be like my number two. And if this stuff starts to happen, because Triple H would be like, all right, I don't really know. I could try to figure out what you want me to do. But it's like, I don't know. I can't deal with 500 beefcakes here. To teach him footwork, that's sort of beneath him,
Yeah. Metacon, how can Vince let Raw continue to suck the souls out of the most hardcore fans, then turn around and possibly ruin, in Metacon opinions, the best brand in WWE? I would imagine that Vince just has a very particular vision of what he wants pro wrestling to be. And right now, he probably sees that NXT is too similar to what AEW has out there. And he gave that a try.
Mm-hmm.
In his opinion, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Now he's going back to a vision, a philosophy that, again, in his mind, has worked for him in the past.
Yeah.
Which is investing in developing, younger, taller, buffer talent.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you nailed it right there. Like as it was reported, the idea of what exactly is pro wrestling seems to be up for discussion now in WWE, So it'll be interesting if Vince McMahon figures it out.
Blake Elizondo, to keep it a bit lighter with all these prison break vignettes for released wrestlers. Buddy Murphy just had one over the weekend. When is someone going to be the cop going out to capture these escapees?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, he suggests,
says,
yeah,
yeah.
Dango and Breeze. That's great. Yeah, what should be the next trope in the post-release vignette? Because I feel like Murphy's needs to be that Jonah Rock, he needs to do one, but let's stay away from let's give some release talent some advice.
So, they carry on with what, to a degree, what Bronson Reed was doing in NXT. He was the colossal Bronson Reed. And this Tron was him, like, walking through a city like Godzilla.
Yeah.
You could do something. He could do something like that.
Okay, what are they called? The kaiju thing?
Yeah, invest some money and buy a miniature set of that part of Orlando, and he's walking through and he stomps on the performance center.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, I like that. That's really good. Yeah. Just generally speaking, the next trope for that should be, well, the forbidden door is such a thing. Maybe they'll start doing, people walking through doors with like, the sign "Don't enter" on it. Because it's
maybe someone will do like a thing kind of like Let's Make a Deal, the game show, because there's doors there.
Supermarket sweep. That's going to be the next trope.
I don't believe there's doors. There's doors in supermarket sweep.
Well, there's like a grocery store door, but you don't see it.
Yeah, because they're inside the store the whole time.
They're already in the store.
All right, David DLC. With all the firings happening at NXT, do you think Triple H is worried about the brand? Are you guys worried about the brand?
I mean, I'm sad that like it's not going to be cool. So if you want to consider that, I'm worried that it's not going to be cool. So yeah, is Triple H worried about the brand? He didn't sleep last night, Larson. He didn't sleep last night.
Yeah,
he was up
he
late. He was like, God, this is oh. Stephanie's like, come to bed. Oh, he's just sitting there all these years.
I find it funny you want me to come to bed when I'm having a panic attack.
Okay, I gotta go to Waffle House. All right. Oh God.
I'm gonna go drive down to the Wawa and get a sandwich.
Yeah. Do you have salmon sandwiches? You don't want that Wawa salmon, Triple H. Trust me.
Probably not. Joshua Culver, have you guys heard of the channel Toy Galaxy? The host has a last name Larson and looks extremely similar to Larson from this channel. Probably just a coincidence.
Probably just a coincidence. You got a side gig? Got to tell me about your side gigs, man. I want to help promote you.
I'm not aware of that.
Let's see here. Oh, here we go. White Brownie. Not a wrestling question, but with The Matrix 4 coming out this year, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts on the first one. Like what you remember hearing about it was like watching in theaters. For a movie that was as revolutionary as The Matrix, I just remember being like, "Oh, this is cool," like
yeah. I wasn't.
I couldn't imagine what it would have been like to be like 25 and watching Star Wars for the first time. That I would imagine that's probably mind blowing. But like The Matrix, I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah, that's kind of my take on it as well. I remember watching, like, okay, that's all right.
What felt to me like more of a sea change in movies was Fight Club. Mm-hmm. Like when I saw that, I was like, wow, like everybody's going to be copying the shit out of this. Like, it's like, oh, this has that thing that everybody's going to be copying. That and Pulp Fiction. When I saw Pulp Fiction, I was like, oh, there's going to be a number of Pulp Fiction ripoffs right now. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's totally what happened. Nikyle, if Vince is looking to have NXT mostly full of tall guys younger than 30 years old who currently on NXT or at the PC fits Vince's ideology and will succeed in NXT and on May in the next 5 to 10 years. Odyssey Jones, Duke Hudson. Well, I don't know how old he is. He's got to be young, though, right? I think he's over 30.
Duke Hudson. Yeah, who was even in their 20s? Like, who are they hiring in their 20s? Nobody knows what they're doing in their 20s. I sure shit didn't.
Nope.
Couldn't find my way to the Performance Center.
Nope. I don't know how old. I don't know how old.
I mean, how old even is Odyssey Jones? How old is he?
No idea.
Let's see. Duke Hudson.
He's 32.
See, even he's 32.
Brendan Vink is 32.
32. All right. They're going to be the old timers.
I guess so.
Yeah. How old's Joe Gacy?
That I don't know. Odyssey Jones is 27.
What? I'm sorry. Say that again.
Odyssey Jones is 27.
Oh, okay. Okay. So he's in his 20s. Brody Lee fan says, how could the mass release in talent end up affecting the ratings of WWE shows going forward? To my understanding, backstage morale is fairly low and could be a major factor. Main roster, I don't think is going to be affected by the ratings with this. NXT, you would think, like, if they're going to take a big risk, if they're going to take a big gamble changing it wholesale, there's the risk that the ratings will go way down.
Yep. That is a chance. Mr. Biff Top Johnny, across all brands, who in WWE have benefited the most from the pandemic era? I'm going to say Apollo Crews.
Oh, yeah.
Because he wasn't doing a whole lot of anything.
He was always there. Yeah, he was one of them dudes who was there, put in the work, and then, he ended up, getting a whole rebrand now.
Yep.
That even when he loses that title to King Nakamura is going to serve him well. Let's see here. Lord Ziffer, when he re-debuted, it looked like Balor would be taking on Zayn at SummerSlam. With that no longer looks like the case. What do you think? Who do you think he wrestles at SummerSlam now? I kind of hope they do. I kind of hope they do like a ladder match for that, like a multi-man ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. I don't know if he'd be involved in that because it's already a stacked scene, and it seems like it's going to be Apollo versus Nakamura anyways.
Yeah, I don't think Finn Balor's going to have a match at SummerSlam.
It seems like that's probably the case, right? He's probably not going to be there because like
he'll be the challenger and waiting for Roman after Cena loses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll end on this one because this is a great question. Patrick Sparks, what's worse, Jay Leno's comedy, or his time in WCW?
It's the latter.
I'd say his comedy's worse. If you think like if you did the going and raw math on him in ring, like I know he's a crap wrestler. He's not a wrestler, but he had Hogan. Like remember he had him in that hold, like it was like an armbar or something. He had Hogan. Hogan had to sell for Jay Leno. That's a big deal.
Here's the thing, though. As a wrestling fan, if I want to follow, as I did at the time, WCW's product, I have to watch Jay Leno in WCW. I can't avoid it.
Yeah, right.
I don't have to watch any of his comedy stuff. I don't have to watch Tonight Show. I don't have to watch any of his stand-up specials. I don't have to watch that. I can avoid that.
But if the idea is you match them side by side, like his comedy's terrible. He's not funny.
Yeah, it's not good
at all.
No, it's not.
At
all.
Not.
His wrestling ability was far worse. You could try to kayfabe it up all you want.
Well, that's the thing. In kayfabe, he was pretty strong. He was power ranked pretty strong. His kayfabe's like a 9, dude.
Yeah, which exposes the business far more than half the shit that some people complain about.
Did he wrestle in sweatpants?
Yeah, and a tucked-in T-shirt.
And a tucked-in Tonight Show T-shirt. Oh, that's brilliant. That's great. Anyways, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Let us know in the comments what you think about Jay Leno. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.